First Souls game on the channel, and it's of the most non-traditional title in the overarching franchise. Nice. Well, time for first impressions. Overall, I really love this game. I was extremely weary going into it since this was going to be a solo experience for me in terms of not having anyone to play with. And then a point I brought up early in the video was the fact that I suck at Elden Ring specifically. Those are two pretty big factors, and I was really nervous that my entire experience would be horrible because of it. Fortunately, that wasn't the case. To start, I love Souls games and I love traditional battle royales. Mix the two and remove the PvP and you got Nightreign, which is the perfect recipe for me because I hate Souls PvP and I love the co-op experience. I'm still getting used to Elden Ring movement and combat. I mentioned earlier that I haven't played since launch after 100%ing the game, so it's been quite a while. Nightreign is all about speed and it reflects in its combat as well, even more so than OG Elden Ring. For the most part, I've gotten a handle of it. I'm just fumbling with button combos every now and then. Alright, let me rapid fire what I like. The lore seems cool and seems to be directly tied to the original game more than the Soul series ever was. The characters are well designed, the special moves they can perform is such a great addition to this game, which I can only assume it'll be gone in the next traditional title, which honestly it's perfectly fine. The Limgrave inspired map is great, the running speed is awesome, and those ethereal spouts that launch you into the air are so much fun. Your map is easy to use and navigate while you're running through the world. Co-op with random people wasn't nearly as bad as I was expecting it to be so far, and I feel like performance is about the same as the original game, if not a little better, so that's good. On to the negatives. I'll be a little more in depth here and I'll leave my biggest gripe for last. Remember that these are first impressions, so I might not even find some of these to be issues after putting an additional 20 hours into the game. Okay, I never use in-game voice chat, it's just not something I ever care to do, but it's really fucking dumb that it's not in the game. Communication is okay with just pins, but this game is all about working together, and not having in-game voice chat is ridiculous. I've played about 10 games so far and had one person leave because the first day was going horrible. That sucks. As far as I'm aware, this game doesn't scale on the fly, and I'm pretty sure the only way to end a game is to close it entirely. I imagine you eventually get a penalty for doing this so many times. There needs to be some sort of voting system integrated where the match can end if at least 2 people agree. Next up is the lack of a 2-player mode. Some people don't have 2 friends to jam with, and it sucks to play with a random if you just want to play with your bud. I hear that there's single player scaling, but that the game just isn't built for it, mostly to do with the amount of enemies ganging up on you. It's extremely likely that I'll never solo queue. I'm terrible at the game as it is, and it's just not something I'm interested in. Alright, next point, and this is something I've seen people talk about in forums. While I do really like Limveld, apparently it's the only map in the game, and the big map altering events have left people a bit disappointed. This is made even worse due to something I discovered during one of my runs. When day 2 started, I booked it towards a church to grab a flask upgrade just to find out I've already been to it. I was under the impression that Limveld completely refreshed and randomized while it does that foggy transition into day 2. That wasn't the case, and what makes it worse is that the map has no indicators if you've completed a point of interest or not. I don't have an issue with how much time you have within a day, but at the same time, you have to make quick decisions and you don't exactly get a chance to analyze the map to your heart's content. It just sucks you have to memorize the route you've taken so far. To go back on Limveld being the only map, it does suck and honestly kind of unacceptable for a game that's largely an asset flip. The lands between have numerous biomes. I think the game should have at the very least had 3 unique maps. At the time of this release, there's been no announcement that we're getting free post-release content, which would have completely made this particular complaint null and void. As for paid post-release content, the deluxe edition only says we're getting new bosses and new Nightfarers, no maps. Unfortunately, I have no idea on the boss situation in this game, but I get the feeling I'm going to be pretty disappointed on that front too. A quick Google search says that there's a total of 94 bosses, but that's clearly just counting anything with a large health bar on screen. Again, not something I've experienced much of at all, so I'm not going to knock the game for it, but I feel like it's a safe assumption to make. With the reveal of Freya, Centipede Demon, and the Nameless King, I was expecting to get a shit ton of bosses spanning the whole series, but the more I play, the more I doubt it. Now, I only watched trailers and didn't watch any pre-release streams or anything, so excuse me if this next part is public info. But I was under the impression that there was 3 days, 3 nights, with the final night being the Night Lord. That was not the case. 2 days, 2 nights, and the final day is just the Night Lord fight. That really sucks. If you have one bad day, it's basically impossible to recover from that. This game is fucking hard as it is. So that leads me to my biggest gripe. I love roguelites and I hate roguelikes. For those that are unfamiliar, roguelites have permanent progression and roguelikes is starting each run completely fresh. Nightreign is the most roguelike roguelite I've ever played, and that's not what I expected. Kind of my fault, I guess. I believe the only permanent progression you get is your relics and upgraded versions of your moves. The upgraded moves seem pretty worth it, but slotting gems into your relics has so far provided extremely unnoticeable incremental upgrades. Ultimately, this means that it doesn't feel like you're getting stronger, so runs aren't necessarily getting easier. Considering solo queuing is an unbalanced mess, progression is heavily tied to being lucky enough to get good teammates and lucky enough to have a good run with good loot. Oh man, this game is going to filter so many people, but I won't let it filter me. Despite all the problems I have with the game, it's still really fun to me and I plan on playing the hell out of it. The Souls genre is one of my favorites and I live and breathe to 100% these types of games.